Aloha, everyone. It's time for 2024 and the RotoWire Rundown. You know me, I'm Keith Stewart from Read the Line. And of course, I am joined by RotoWire senior golf writer, award-winning Len Hochberg. Len, Happy New Year. How are the holidays for you?
Very good, Keith. Happy New Year back at you. Looking forward to another golf season, a calendar year of golf. So ready to go.
Yeah, 0 to 60 miles an hour really quick for this 35-week run of the FedEx Cup Point Series. 4 majors, 8 signature events. What else can we throw in there? Maybe the Olympics? I don't know. We're going to be there every week, breaking it down, giving you the rundown. Week 1, we're off in Maui. Familiar spot, the Sentry, no longer the Tournament of Champions, although we have a lot of winners there. 59 guys in the field. Although everyone seems to be talking about 2 guys that aren't there. One who went to live, that's Jon Rahm, and the second, Rory, who tends not to play in Maui. He's taking a little more time off for the new year. That was the big 3 last year with Scottie Scheffler going into the 2023 season. 2024 starts. Can anyone beat Scheffler at Kapalua? I mean, what's going to happen here?
You know, when you say, can anyone beat Scottie Scheffler at Kapalua, the first name that comes to mind is Scottie Scheffler. Um, I mean, as great as he was last year, and he was great, he did win the Hero World Challenge, ending a long winless drought, especially considering the way he played all year. But, I am still waiting to see how Scottie Scheffler putts this year in 2024. It could have been a season for the history books. It was a season for the history books, even without his putting. But I'm going to wait and see. Kapalua, especially difficult to putt. The enormous greens, the largest we will see on tour all year here in week 1, about 8,700 square feet on average. A lot of undulations and trickiness and not overly fast. So that's my concern with Scottie Scheffler. And at $11,000 in DraftKings, he is not one of my picks this week.
Well, I tell you what, Len, you and all the other people who think that Scottie doesn't have a chance, I've got news for you. I know it's just week 1, but I got to set you straight here. Kapalua last year was Scottie Scheffler's best putting performance. He gained almost 3 strokes with the putter and came in 7th. He's played there twice, both times coming in the top 13. He's the best ball striker in the world. I don't love him at plus 625, and I don't know that I'd bet him to outright, but in the prop market, in the live betting market, there's a ton of places you could take advantage of him. Top American, if you want to add that to an outright. You could go first round, although I wouldn't go there. With his skill set, I might wait a couple rounds, and you can get him at plus 650 as the 3rd round leader. So there's all sorts of options there. I fear for the field in this case, though, because when it comes to Kapalua, the favorites do tend to play very well. In the last 10 years, there's only been 1 winner with pre-tournament odds over 22-1, and that was Harris English. So it may be what we saw a month ago at the Hero, but we shall see. I mean, the reason I like Scheffler is because his skill set really mirrors what you need at Kapalua. That par 73 scorecard, it's unique. But tell me more about what's unique there at the 7,596 yard layout.
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to everybody's mind is length, because it's a long course. I think it's the 3rd longest course they will see all year, besides the largest greens, 3rd largest course behind Torrey Pines and Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. So people think you got to hit the ball far, but really kind of everybody hits the ball far here. Even the shorter hitters get the downhill, downwind experience. And I'm looking more at the short game. As I mentioned, the greens are very difficult to negotiate, especially for first-timers. There are about 1/3 of the field, 17, 18, 19 first-timers here. And the golfers always talk how difficult the greens are and how you have to come back a couple of times to really get to the feel for it. So I'm looking at short game, scrambling as well as putting. Last year, John Rahm won. He led the field in putting. Colin Morikawa was runner-up. He was second in putting. Max Homa tied for third. He was fourth in putting. Really, this will come down at least to between the winner and the also-rans, the guys right behind him, should come down to who does better on the greens.
Yeah, as usual, you are spot on there with your course analysis. If you look at the last 5 winners, on average, they've gained over 5 strokes against the field with that flat stick. It's definitely one of those places where you've got to hit quadrants of the greens, and then you've got to make 25 plus birdie putts. I mean, the average winning score over the last 5 years is 25 under. So you probably need a couple eagles in there too. It's just a fantastically great opening week layout. It's so entertaining. One of the unique things about this, and I'll add to the course preview, is that with those 100-yard wide fairways and all of the terrain changes, there's a lot of collection areas off the tee. So the guys tend to, basically sit in the same area and approach all the greens from the same places. And I think that this place takes a bit of a bipolar player. If you hear me out on this for a second, I know that sounds strange, but when you look at the approach, there's 9 holes. There's 2 long par 3s, there's 4 par 5s, and then there's 3 par 4s over 500 yards. Those are all long iron approaches. Yet, 8 of the 9 remaining holes, you need a wedge in your hand. So you've got to be great with a wedge and inside 100 yards, getting the ball in scoring position to make all those birdies. And then on those longer holes, you got to be able to hit those par 5s and 2 with a long iron. So I think with you, the putter for sure, and this kind of bipolar, polar opposite approach game, I think that's going to lead to the contenders. And of course, that leads us to how we close every week at the Rundown with some names. Len, give them the DFS names for this week at the Sentry.
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, I'm going to steer clear of Scottie Scheffler. Not that I don't think he'll do well, but he's $11,000, and I think we can spend our money better in other places. Rory was the number 2 guy. The prices came out before we found out that Rory wasn't going to play, which was interesting. Victor Hovland, number 3 at 10,500. He is my top guy this week. He has never finished better than 18th in this tournament, but over the past 12 months, since last year at Kapalua, he has become I've never seen a player improve in one area of a game in such a short period as Victor Hovland has with his short game. It's really been the one weakness of his game before that, and now he is a complete player. He's not the best wedge player. He's not the best chipper and pitcher on tour, but with the rest of his game, it's good enough. I look for him to do very well. Mentioned Max Homa earlier. Max Homa has played this course 3 times before. He's improved every year from 25th to 15th to tie for 3rd last year. Again, a great putter on occasion. He could be right there. Really, my favorite play, $9,100, Colin Morikawa. I don't know why there are so many guys ahead of him. He's played this tournament 4 times. He's never finished worse than 7th. He really should have won last year, but he collapsed on the final round. In the final round, and by collapsed, I mean he shot only 1 under 72, while John Rahm beat him by 9 shots on Sunday to steal the tournament. Ludwig Aberg, I think, will be a very popular pick at $8,700, but he's a course rookie here at Kapalua. I don't know if he can really win, and I think maybe overall we should pump the brakes a little bit on Ludwig Aberg at the start of this year, but at $8,700, I like him a lot. Moving into the 7s, Eric Cole, $7,400. He just never went away last year after the Honda. He came out of nowhere and just decided to stay. JT Poston at 72. Hey, when you got to make putts, let's take a flyer on one of the top putters in the field. Cam Davis at 7,100. He's on my short list of guys who really can take a next level leap in their career this year. We already saw it at the end of last year, in the second half of last year, a lot of top 10s. I really think this is his time to take the next step in his career. And my one final pick, bargain basement down at 6,200, Luke List. Very interesting, Keith, the difference between the DFS pricing and the betting odds. Luke List is at 6,200, better than only 5 guys in the field on the DFS side of things. But on the betting side, he's 100 to 1. There are about a third of the field, about 20 guys priced longer odds than him. So I like the odds makers here. I think they've got Luke List pegged pretty well here, much more so than the DFS guys, and we can take advantage of that with a $6,200 price.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see too many Ludwig Oberg prices in the 8K range, going forward for the season. I'm with you on pump the brakes. It's not like he's going to win every week, but boy, he looks steady when it comes time to ball striking, and this is a ball striker's paradise. And speaking of paradise, I think you've also been reading my notes, because when I start to break down the betting board, at the top, my guy, I think, to win for sure is Collin Morikawa. His odds started out in the week plus 1,600, plus 1,500. It's already down to plus 1,200. I'm not the only one that thinks this. Revenge is definitely one of those things that's got to be on his mind. Last year, he started the final round with a 6-shot lead, and he eventually lost to Jon Rahm. He was the first guy to shoot under par at a PGA Tour event and lose in 6 years in the final round. Boy, I tell you, and his skill set, it just matches. Impeccable wedge game player, great long iron player, and he putts well there. In the mid zone, I like Matt Fitzpatrick. He's been posting all over social media. We know he's practicing. His length and his scrambling ability makes him awesome on the par fives there. He won in the fall. He was fourth at the Hero. And this is where I think you were really stealing my notes, but the Australians always play well at Kapalua. And at 80-1 plus 8,000, Cam Davis is the only guy I'm going to take a flyer on down there at the bottom of the board. As I said earlier, the favorites tend to do very well here, but Cam Davis is one of those guys. He didn't start the year healthy last year, and he is this year. That fall was really, really strong. Great wedge player. He's been there before. He has experience. And in the last 20 years, we've had 6 Australian winners. He's coming off summer down under. So he's going to be in good form, and he's going to be ready to take down the field of 59. We got 38 of the top 50 in the official World Golf ranking here at Kapalua. Do you have one other name, or do you have one other thought for the Sentry before we wrap up the rundown?
Well, when you mentioned Matt Fitzpatrick, I was shaking my head, and I agree with you on Fitzpatrick. He actually is in the picks one of my picks in my article that will be up later today on RotoWire. I just didn't mention him here. He's a little bit high priced at $9,500. But he did finish 7th here as a Kapalua rookie last year, which really has me feeling good that he was able to figure out the greens pretty quickly, and now he's got 4 rounds under his belt there. He could do even better this year. So I like that pick a lot, Keith.
I tell you, a lot of people, they're going to model out guys like Tyrrell Hatton and Tommy Fleetwood, but you know what? As an Englishman, Fitzpatrick wins. And I get you. I mean, Collin Morikawa being cheaper on the DFS board. I mean, this is why you and I get together for the rundown, because the comparison that you brought up earlier about Luke List really rings true for our listeners and our viewers. I mean, you have to pay attention to these things. Which market are you playing, and where is the best value? Fitz on the betting board, probably a better value than on the DFS board, but good plays in both places if you can budget for them. There's no doubt about it. That's what makes the rundown so much fun. So here we are. Every Tuesday, you can join Len Hochberg and I. And you know what? It's not just Tuesdays. The rest of the week, you go to RotoWire and you'll find all of Len's work right there. And for me, you can go to readtheline.com and you can check me out as well. The rundown will be back next week for the first full field PGA Tour event of the year. We'll still be island hopping out there in Sony. So in that note, or in that vein, Len, guess what? Aloha, it means goodbye. I'll see you in a week, my friend.
Nice props, Keith. See you then.